Welcome to Backstage at Speaking Your Brand. I'm Diane Diaz, lead speaking coach at Speaking Your Brand. Tuesday, you heard from 3 of our recent TLA clients, Thought Leader Academy clients. And today, I'm excited to bring you 2 more of our Thought Leader Academy clients. You're going to hear from them for the very first time, the first 10 minutes of talks that they worked on during the Thought Leader Academy. It's going to be really exciting. So this is the very first time that they're sharing this content live to an audience. And as you watch them and listen to them deliver their talks, think about the through lines. Look for the through lines in their message, because that's what we're going to talk about in our roundtable discussion today after they give their talks. So once they're finished delivering their talks, we're going to have a roundtable discussion where we're going to talk about their experience creating their talks, how they came to their frameworks, how they made sure that the through lines went all through their talks clearly, and just generally their experience with creating these new talks that they're delivering. So first, let me introduce the 2 women that we have with us here today. First, we have Mia Hannom, and Mia is an interior designer, an organizing specialist, and speaker who is on a mission to reduce the excess and change mindsets one room at a time. We also have with us, hi Mia. We also have with us today Leslie Hielema, and Leslie is a strategic growth and innovation leader who explores the changing nature of leadership and promotes women's leadership. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you, Diane.
All right. Well, first, I will turn the stage over to Leslie. And Leslie, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Today, we're going to be talking about Beyond Duality, Rethinking Leadership. We are obviously living in tumultuous times with intense polarity and division. How do we, as leaders, stay whole and centered as we guide our organizations during immense uncertainty, ambiguity, and divisiveness? There are so many different ways of seeing the world. On one side, some folks say, we really need these hierarchical structures. Command and control is best. On the other side, folks are saying, you know what? No, we need to structure our organizations organically, more like ecosystems. On one side, we have folks that are saying there's only one right way, and it's my way. And on the other side, we have folks saying there are multiple right ways. We have people thinking that, we are independent and separate individuals, each man for himself. Now we have the other side saying, we are individuals and at the same time, part of a greater whole. I'm a pilot, so I'm going to use an airplane analogy to bring this home. It's kind of like we are flying on a plane with one engine. We have 2 engines, we have multiple engines, but we're only flying with one. And by the way, the passengers in the back are fighting. One group wants to leave the pilot alone and let the pilot fly as they see fit. The other side is like, let's turn that engine on. Let's use our full power. And we all know what happens if we continue to fly the airplane this way. I am a scientist, an electrical engineer. So I started to think about what shapes the way we see the world. When were the big transformations in our thinking as a humanity? And how does science shape how we believe the world works? So I went all the way back to the heretics of the 16th and 17th century. Copernicus and Galileo told us we live in a heliocentric universe. And they both knew their lives were at risk by making this statement. And what they kind of set for us is they gave us this new truth. You are not the center of the universe, humanity. As we moved into the 18th century with Isaac Newton, Isaac brought the laws of motion and gravity, new transportation, further understanding the cosmos, medical technology. And what his science led us to believe is that the world is predictable and controllable. As we move through to the 18th, 19th century and the industrial era, we begin to take the concepts of Newton, and we believe the world is mechanistic and replicable. We're moving into mass production. Then all of Newton's discoveries impact the economists, the social scientists, the psychology, the business theory of the day. They use all of that information to shape how they see the world And what they find out is that human behavior is rational and predictable. So they build the systems around some of these understandings. So all along, we are building infrastructure and systems based on this understanding of the world. But then we get into Einstein and the digital era. He brings in new concepts around time, space, and interconnectedness of our universe. We now are having space travel and instantaneous communications. And so we are starting to understand that there is more, we are interconnected. And we're starting to realize that we just live on a flying rock hurtling through space on a busy cosmic highway. Now we're getting into the quantum era. Quantum mechanics is the branch of physics that explains how very tiny particles like atoms and electrons behave. It's in your technology today. It's in your iPhone. It's in medical technology like your MRI. And people are working on quantum computers. That a quantum computer will be able to solve complex calculations in seconds that would now take our world's highest performing computers tens of thousands of years. And what quantum tells us is say, forget everything we've told you up until now. The world is quirky and random. So when I first started getting into quantum physics as an engineer, I said, wow, I can relate to quantum. It is a rebel. It's a rule breaker. And it really doesn't act like anyone expects. It is really, you can't put quantum in a box. So I want to kind of go back and just kind of summarize the thinking that evolved through the older ways of thinking, through Newtonian, Cartesian science, the classical way of thinking. The world is mechanical, rule bound. Things happen linearly. Things are either or. There's really one best way. Things are isolated, separate, put together as parts. Things are more matter and solid, and things are affected by force. So this is the way we think the world works. As we move into an understanding of quantum, we will begin to see the world as more of an adaptive systems. We are part of adaptive systems. Things are much more multi-dimensional. Things are both and. There's infinite possibilities. Things are holistic and entangled. Things are both matter and energy at the same time. And we live in a participatory universe. You can think of classical as a clock, and you can think of quantum more like a wheel of fortune. So now you're probably, so what does all this mean to us as leaders? It means there's more out there that we can open up to. There's more possibilities. And I wanted to embrace these principles and see how they affect my work and clients. I help entrepreneurs and leaders open to new possibilities for better decision-making, for growth and innovation through quantum-inspired frameworks. Personally, I started with this concept of an open framework that helped me shape my thinking as I worked with clients. I began by being an objective observer of opportunities. This opened the lens, a huge lens, for me to take more time to look at the broader context, look at what's happening. You can think of Einstein's quote that says, if you gave me 1 hour to solve a problem, I'd take 55 minutes to study the problem. The P really tells me there's really infinite possibilities. You can hold multiple perspectives. You can hold things that are opposites. This helps with us creating transformative solutions because we take the time to look way beyond incremental possibilities to new possibilities. The E really helps me remember that everything is interconnected energy. We are part of a larger system. It's important to build and nurture your ecosystems and your relationship, leverage the resources, the knowledge, and the collective intelligence that comes from this interconnection. The N for me is no external experts. And there are lots of people out there that know lots of things about certain topics. But what this reminds me is that we have access to all other kinds of knowing. We have access to our intuition, to inspiration, to collective intelligence, to AI, to name a few. With all these ways of expanding our knowing and knowledge, you are officially the expert of your idea. You don't have to travel the well-trodden paths of so-called experts. Now, you've probably been hearing a lot more people use the word quantum beyond the quantum technology. There are physicists like Dana Zohar and Diana Collins. They are quantum physicists that are taking and modeling quantum around leadership, organizations, and restructuring our thinking. I just attended a week-long session at Ohio State University for social scientists to learn about the potential of quantum theory in modeling human behavior and cognition. And I've been reading the Harvard Business Review, and as they talk about the emerging and most important leadership skills, they're talking more and more about empathy, collective intelligence, adaptability. And these are all kind of getting into more of the quantum elements. You've heard of biomimicry, where we tend to learn from how nature reacts. This is kind of like quantum mimicry, where we can learn from the physics. I want to share an example of where I saw quantum leadership in action. I was part of launching a women's business center called We Venture. Everyone knew that this felt different. We listened and we heard each other and we built off of each other. We built programs that were very individualized, but we all worked together as a collective to help each other move forward. I would have to say that communities of women are naturally quantum organizations. As I started to embody these kind of open principles, I started feeling more confident in my decisions making. I started to feel more empowered to follow my own creativity and intuition, less and less reliant on the well-trodden paths laid out by the experts. By better understanding the broader problem and context, innovative solutions naturally emerged. So quantum leadership really turns on the other engine. We turn on self-awareness, empathy, collective genius. We hold space for divergent perspectives, regenerative relationships, ecosystem building, and adaptability. As leaders, we need to bring this old way of thinking and this new world of thinking together. We need the interplay of the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, art, science, intuition, and analytics. Why not turn on that extra engine and use our full power? Thank you.
Oh, fantastic, Leslie. That was so good. I don't know anything about quantum anything, but I was so engaged with that because I like how you laid it out very clearly, made the progression toward the quantum idea. And then you just tied everything together so nicely. So well done.
Hardest part.
No, great job. How did that feel for you?
It felt wonderful because it helped me evolve my whole understanding of my passion and what I want to learn from it. So I haven't really shared this, my perspective and this journey verbally. So it was kind of fun to really think it through.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, I know everybody watching enjoyed that. So that was fantastic. So well done.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now let's see here. Now I am going to welcome to the stage Mia Hannom. And let's see. Let me put your slides up there. All right, Mia, take it away.
Thank you, Diane, and welcome everyone. I want you to think for a moment of your house. Just as you left it this morning, what is piled up on your desk, on your kitchen counter, on your bedside table? Do you think you have too much stuff? What about we open the cupboard doors, your drawers, your closet? Or would you rather not go there? I've had an interesting experience when we moved from South Africa to the States. My husband's company set us up for the first 6 months. And I remember how amazed I was at the exact number of things they delivered. There were 4 forks, 4 spoons, 4 plates, 4 cups, 2 pans, 1 set of bed linen, and 0 wine glasses. But the wine glasses wasn't a big problem. Any good old bucket would do. But I remember wondering, how on earth are we going to cope with so few things? But you know what? It was absolutely wonderful. Life was easy and simple. There was no clutter, nothing piled up, nothing got lost. easy to clean. We had space to play games and dance in the empty rooms. I wish I could live like this forever. And then, kaboom, our stuff arrived. And it was like the floodgates had opened. We packed out our stuff, but it's not all. We added more. I mean, you know how it goes. We live in a consumer-driven society where more is the norm, the dollar is powerful, and it's far too easy to buy. So we filled our house until our shelves and our shoulders sagged under the weight of all the things we did not need. I, like you, have goals for my house. I want a beautiful place that is welcoming and comfortable, where you can go home at the end of the day, relax, invite people over, have a great time, and create beautiful memories. Who doesn't want that? So let me ask you this. Are you completely satisfied with the way your home looks, feels, and functions? It would seem not many of us are. And why is that? Well, it is complicated. Things break, they go out of style, technology improves, our circumstances change, expectations, priorities, partners, family needs, our likes. And we don't compare ourselves to the Joneses anymore. The Joneses live next door. They have the same stuff and the same problems as you and I. No. These days, we compare ourselves to the Kardashians. So good luck with that. It seems we measure our happiness by the height of the pile of our possessions, and yet we are never satisfied. A few years ago, something happened. I had an encounter with cancer. It led me to a book, an unlikely book, that stopped me in my tracks and caused me to take a hard look at my life and, strangely enough, all my stuff. Where was I under all these things? Do I even know still who I am? So I decided to surround myself with only the things that I truly use and makes me happy. I said goodbye to a lot of things. And here is the thing. Somewhere during that process of letting go, something extraordinary happens. Under all the layers of dust and stuff, it is like a part inside of you wakes up, comes to life, and you reconnect with yourself and discover what is really important and where you need to go. And maybe it's almost like you like a new sense of purpose and direction. Maybe it's new, maybe it's been there all along. And through this experience, I realized that we are looking at things the wrong way around. That true transformation comes from not only adding new stuff, but by removing the excess that is holding us back and blocking our view of living the life that we are meant to live. And I'm not talking about the surface level things that's obviously broken and outdated. I'm talking about the deeper layer of things in the dark corners that are forgotten, unused, unfit, and malignant that we are holding on to and shouldn't. I can give you some interesting numbers. According to UNICEF data, children in the United States make up 3.7% of all the children on the globe. Yet we consume 47% of all the toys globally. So it starts when we are babies and it doesn't stop there. It is estimated that 80% of the stuff in your house never gets used. Just think of the wasted real estate. Through your lifetime, you will spend 3,680 hours looking for everyday things. Your keys, your glasses, your lipstick, your shoes, your remote, your phone, paperwork. Because we have too much stuff. And today's talk is not about the stuff, and it is not about the space it takes, or to make you feel bad about any of that. My hope is that you will change, even in the slightest bit, how you think about your stuff. That you will let go of the things that are blocking your view and preventing you from living the life that you are meant to live. I have developed a tool that is helping my clients, and it will help you too. It is the Plus for Less system, and Plus is an acronym for pause, let go, uplift, and start. So P is for you to pause and think of three things. Where are you currently in your life? What is happening in your career, your family, your children, your health? Number two, what are the most meaningful things in your life, your most important roles that you want to fill? And number three, what is your vision for your life? How do you want to live? And where is your internal compass pointing? L is for you to look around and let go of all those things that is not moving you towards these goals and helping you to step into your roles. You know, throughout our lifetime, we accumulate a lot of things. And if we don't regularly edit that, they become stale and ooze negative feelings and send us negative messages, all the time. So let go of the things that doesn't belong in your home or in your life. Uplift is for you to create small moments of beauty in your environment. I'm thinking about, flowers from the garden, a scented candle, a stack of pebbles, just something small, sensory things that just awakens your senses and remind you to stop and smell the roses, so to say. And start is for you to start a habit of being present in your life and in your actions. If you take away one thing from today, it is this: to be intentional with what you buy, what you bring into your home, and especially what you keep around you. It affects who you are and who you become. I have a task for you to go back to your home and think about one item that you know in your heart that you've been holding on to and you shouldn't. Maybe it's a gift that someone gave you and you're not using it, or you don't even like it. Maybe it's an item from your past, from a time when you were younger, happier, thinner. And it is sitting in your closets, in your cupboards, and it doesn't make you happy and you don't use it. Why is it there? Let it go. Go home, give it away, donate it, put it in the trash. It does not belong in your home. I want to end with this powerful quote from, and now I've forgotten her name. And it's not a difficult name. Her name is Louise Smith, forgive me. You can't reach for anything new when your hands are full of yesterday's junk. that's the end.
Thank you, Mia. Fantastic. That was so good. So let me remove the slide. All right. So how did that feel for you? That was their first time delivering that live to an audience. I've seen your talk, obviously. We worked together, but how did it feel for you?
Oh, Diane, that felt so good to say it out loud.
Nice.
And, just get it out there. I must be honest, for 2 years, I have been going backwards and forwards, trying to, shape my ideas into words. And you guys have really helped me to pick out the best pieces and put it together in a way that flows naturally and really feels authentic. And so that feels really good.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Well, so let's then jump into our roundtable discussion and we can talk more about that. So maybe I'll start with you. If you could just elaborate, I'm curious, we worked together in a VIP day. And so we put together your talk in the VIP day. And then of course here you're paring it down to 10 minutes. So first, how did it feel to sort of come up with like the through line? We looked for what the main idea was of your talk. And so that's what we call the through line. So how did it feel to arrive at what that was, which is this idea of less is more?
Yes, I think, if I think about when we started working in the academy, and, you have a bunch of ideas and you have an idea of where you want to go, but it is not until you go through the process and, you get clarity and feedback. And I must also say, your framework, your focus on frameworks is extremely helpful, because not only does it eventually, help me to remember my content, but I think it also gives, a memorable give away to the audience, something that they can take away and remember. And also I think it is something that you can, be flexible to use, whether it's a 10-minute talk or whether it's eventually a training program or, something like that. So that is really, really helpful. But that through line is so nice to know, okay, I have this thing. And I must say, initially I had a lot of other ideas that I thought would be part of my talk, and it just went away as I continue to focus on my through line. So that was very helpful.
Yes, exactly. And that's your point, Mia, about the framework. The framework is what helps you to keep that focus, because when you create that framework and then all of your ideas relate to that through line. And you're right, the framework not only helps you remember it, but it does make the idea stickier for the audience, right? So that they remember it too, and then they can actually share it with people. So the framework achieves multiple things and multiple goals for the talk. So you're 100% spot on. And so then Leslie, for you, I had not yet seen your framework. And so I kind of knew the general idea of your talk, but tell me about how you arrived at that framework. What was the process that you went through to get to that specific framework, which was fantastic? It's so perfect.
Yeah. I think when I started the program, I probably had like 3 talks in my head. I didn't know it yet. And so through the process, I could say, well, oh, that's this talk. And so I think you helped me. What do I most want to say right now? And so we kind of found what I'm most passionate, what I want to say. And I think this process taught the art of storytelling, which, I really, was not really strong at, is storytelling. So I feel like, wow, that's important. And I think once I had everything grouped, the right things grouped together, once I knew what the main thing I wanted to say was, and then when I got the through line, I had a different framework in the beginning, but as the focus and clarification and talking it through and getting your input, then I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense, because it does connect. It's part of the through line. But it was an evolution. It was like one thing here, and at the end it was something else. But it's like, I love, what came out was like this, I couldn't have imagined it. I couldn't have done it on my own.
Yeah, it's like you birthed a baby, isn't it? It's almost like, says the woman who doesn't have kids, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it is like that. And I'm as we're talking about this, I'm remembering, and this is typically in a VIP day, kind of how I approach it, is that I like to, so the you all may have an idea coming into the VIP day, or when you're working on this talk on your own, you have this general idea, but I like to then take that idea and say, okay, let's create the framework now. And then we can back into all the other stuff as long as the framework connects with the idea. And so how did that feel for either of you, if you want to answer this question, to sort of, because I know when we're working in the VIP day, we kind of jump around. We don't work on the talk from beginning to end. That's not how we approach it. We work in sort of in act 2 first, create that framework, and then go back and fill in those other pieces. So how did that process feel? Did it feel weird, strange, new, exciting? What are your thoughts? Either of you?
I can say that I was really so surprised and impressed with the entire process of doing this, because when I've been following, Speaking Your Brand for many years, and I have never been able to really put my thoughts together in a way that made sense to me. And so it was interesting for me how you started at a different point in the talk, and then the first bits, because I got stuck at that first bit. How do I open this? What do I even say? And so by starting and getting clarity on really what the main piece of this is, the rest just came easy, and somehow you have a way to just make it flow so naturally. I know somewhere during the process, and it was so wonderful working in the group and getting the feedback and the input and the support. It is absolutely so valuable. But somewhere during that process, someone said, why don't you put this piece there and that piece there? And as you start then doing that, and you realize, no, there is a natural flow that just feels right, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I was so impressed and amazed.
Good. And Leslie, how about you? How did that feel for you?
I think that the trick is kind of surrendering to the process and trusting the process. And I found that as I said things out loud, and I said things out loud to another person, things shaped differently, and I would see things differently. So the framework was somewhat similar, but the concepts that I had in my framework were the same, but it didn't fit in with the through line. I think just surrendering to the process and, just discovering it and seeing what emerges was really important. This is not it's not a hard thought thinking. You don't think it through. You kind of it's more creative plus, thinking, but it's a very creative process, and you have to, just kind of sit back and be creative. It's an art and a science.
That's a really good point, Leslie, that it's an art and a science, because it truly is. There is, obviously, we have the signature talk framework that we use, so there's some structure there. But then within that is the creativity that has to come through, right? And so I think you get an opportunity to do both things. And it's nice too, because, Leslie, like with your talk has a little bit more of the, you're talking about concepts that could be very complicated, right? But then when you get to your framework, you've distilled everything down into something that's really specific and clear. So you can take more of a complicated idea and easily share it in a way that the audience can remember and digest and use, right? Rather than just sharing a bunch of, esoteric information. And then they're stuck, they're with that, and they're like, well, what do I do with that? But you've distilled it down into that framework so that they can actually then apply what you've talked about, which is so beautiful. So well done.
Thanks. I think also practicing with the other participants, you could see how certain things were received. I would say things, they're like, that's too complicated. I don't even understand it. I just, and so people gave me, you could make it more simple. And someone gave me the idea of showing that progression, on a timeline as a result of practicing with other participants.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Yes. So to that point, and to anybody watching this or coming back to watch this later, this idea of, when you have this idea in your head, and you're creating this content of this talk, the tendency is to want to continue to just perfect and perfect and perfect and not actually deliver it until it's perfect. But what we see here from what Leslie and Mia have shared is that, and in the Thought Leader Academy, we had them go into breakout rooms and share portions of their talks with one another, get feedback from each other. And getting that idea out is what then helped them to refine the message. But you can't do that if it just lives in your head or it just lives with you and you haven't shared it out yet. That's another reason why they are here today. And our other 3 women did this on Tuesday, is to get this message out into the world so that then you can get that feedback from the audience. Does it land? Did it make sense? How did it feel when you delivered it? Did it feel awkward? Did it feel just right? Do you need to massage some things? But you can't do any of that until you get it out there, right? And so we see that from you practicing in the Thought Leader Academy with your colleagues in there, and then here sharing it as well to get that feedback so you can improve upon it even more. And then, like you said, Mia, this can become other things, which you can use that framework. This is why frameworks are so important. It focuses your through line and makes your message clearer and stickier, but it also then it gives it legs so that you can go do other things with it. Like maybe you can create a workshop, or you can create some sort of a workbook, or you can create an online course, or whatever it is you're looking to do, but it gives you the opportunity to have some flexibility with that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that perfection. It was an exploration. It was an experiment. It was like, let's try it, see how it feels. So it was a very, really comfortable environment where, you guys supported us in our experimentation and our failings, and then things like that. So that was fun.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that, Leslie. And that was going to be my next question, is what were some of your takeaways from your time in the Thought Leader Academy and going through this process and working on your talk? What were some of your takeaways? Mia, do you want to share?
Yeah, so I talk about transformation in my talk, but I experience, and I think I can speak for many of us in the academy, in that 8-week period, I experienced for myself transformation, how I went from, I'm not sure even how I want to, do I even have a message? What do I do with this, to complete confidence. I am on fire to take this message forward.
Yay.
And it's just getting that confidence in listening to others and yourself, getting the feedback. And it's just really it was really a very, very insightful and amazing experience.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Mia. Leslie, anything else you'd like to share about that?
Nope, I agree with Mia. The confidence, I did not have the confidence to deliver this because I didn't have the right structure. So, I think confidence has soared. I love the whole it's fun, it was fun. It was work, but it was fun. Very good process. I love that you gave containers for the brain to rest and say, hey, here's your brain, relax. Then you can pour all the creativity into that container. And then we go to the next container and the brain's like, okay, I know what I need. I have the structure, but then you get to pour all the creativity into it. So it was kind of a quantum process.
Hey, look at that. Everything comes full circle. I love that. Well, then let me ask you, what is next for each of you as far as speaking or this message or getting any content out into the world? Mia?
Well, as I said, I am now so on fire. I just want to, speak at every group, small or big, in my local area in Seattle and wherever, to share my message. And, I'm now so motivated. I even signed up for a improv class next month, something I would never, ever have done before.
I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic.
So I'm very excited about, I'm changing even, my business. I'm adding this additional arm to, provide this decluttering service, which I did. And so it's a completely new direction that I'm taking. So I'm very excited.
That is so exciting. Well, congratulations on the improv class. You're going to hate it, and it's going to be fantastic.
I know.
Leslie, what's next for you?
I'll be pivoting my company. So I was doing innovation engineering, which was more bringing innovations to life, to more around using quantum inspired processes. So how do we move inspired ideas forward? How do we now create inspired strategies to build a new element of the business? So I've taken a lot of our regular business processes and remodeled them to have quantum elements. So I'll be using this. This has really kind of been a lot of thinking in terms of how I want to pivot my company as well.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great jumping off point. I can't wait to see where you take it. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Mia and Leslie, for sharing your talks with our audience. I know everybody watching this is going to take away something from this. And what I hope that everybody takes away is that you too can create a talk, or even if you don't plan to be a speaker, create a message that really refines your ideas into something that helps you to build your brand. Maybe you're pivoting your company like Leslie's doing. Maybe you're adding some sort of offering to your business. Maybe you just want to build your brand. You can do that by working on what we call the signature talk, but that can become your overall brand message. So if you want to do that same thing, make sure to join us in the Thought Leader Academy. You can visit speakingyourbrand.com/academy to get more details. We're enrolling now for the cohort that starts on August 13th. So go ahead and check that out. Again, that is speakingyourbrand.com/academy. And until next time, thanks for listening.